Welcome to Baseball Mondays.
Hello and welcome back to Baseball Mondays. I'm your host, Nick. Today you're listening to episode 4 of Baseball Mondays. It's Monday, so you know what that means. We're here to recap the previous week in Major League Baseball. A ton of stuff to get to. A really fun week. A lot of walk-offs. Padre walk-off homers, Dodgers, Max Muncy walk-off home runs. So a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. We'll get to all that. Before we get into it, though, as always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of the new videos dropping. You can follow us on all social media at Baseball Mondays. That is X, that is TikTok, and that is Instagram. If you follow us and subscribe on YouTube, there's also YouTube Shorts if you like those. So subscribe to the YouTube channel for that as well. You can follow myself at Nick Talking Ball on X. I post a lot of baseball stuff. I also post stuff about the Dodgers. I have another podcast called Talking Blue. It's about the Dodgers if you're interested in that. The link's in the video below. So today I have a good show for you guys. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, and I'm going to break down right now the stuff we're going to talk about. First, we'll just give a couple shout-outs to some guys who've been to some underrated but hot starts. Then we're going to talk about two guys who are surprise Cy Young candidates. Maybe Mason Miller's not a surprise because he's the best reliever in the game. But Jose Soriano, the right-hander of the Angels, maybe the best starting pitcher in the game so far. We're going to talk about him. Then we're going to do some buying or selling. Are you buying or selling these three teams and the hot starts that they're off to? I'm going to give you some numbers. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are they for real? Are they fake? Then we're going to go to, that was fast, a couple teams that their start to the season drastically changed over the last week. A couple teams that got off to some great starts that are now quickly struggling, and one team that got off to a really cold start but is now surging and playing really well. So that was fast. Then we're going to do a Chandler Simpson breakdown. Yes, the left fielder of the Tampa Bay Rays, maybe the fastest player in the game. He's had a ton of success early on this year, and we're going to break it down. Something that is unique and you don't really see much of nowadays. How is he having success? How is he using his speed and a couple other things to have the highest batting average in Major League Baseball through the first couple weeks of the year? Then we'll go to Nick's Monday Power Rankings. I'll give you my Power Rankings. Couple new teams. Couple teams have made some jumps. A lot of teams have made some drops. And then we'll close out, and I'll leave you guys with things to look forward to in this upcoming week in Major League Baseball. I'm going to give you guys some numbers about some players that have got off to some hot starts, some guys that we haven't talked about the first couple episodes. Of course, we talked about a lot about the rookies, and then a couple other guys last week like Ben Rice, Yordan Alvarez, Andy Pages, a lot of those guys, Kevin Gausman. We're going to talk about some other guys now, just give you some slash lines. So Corbin Carroll, the right fielder for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I wanted to pick him as a top 3 finalist for my NL MVP preseason picks, but I didn't do it because of the injury that he had. Corbin Carroll is hitting .327 with a .414 on base, a .654 slug, and a 1,067 OPS, 2 home runs. He's been off to a great start for an Arizona Diamondbacks team that has played pretty well so far. Bryce Terang of the Milwaukee Brewers had a great second half last year and is one of the more underrated players of the game. A 298 batting average, 441 on base, a 617 slug, a 1,058 OPS, 3 homers so far for this year for the Brewers, who struggled last week, and we'll get into them later. O'Neal Cruz of the first place Pittsburgh Pirates, a 339 batting average, a 400 on base, a 644 slugging percentage, with a 1,044 OPS, 5 home runs. Brandon Nimmo of the Texas Rangers, who are also above 500. 367 batting average, a 433 on base, a 600 slug, a 1,033 OPS, 3 home runs, 2 home runs over the weekend against the Dodgers. He killed the Dodgers, a great series for him. Let's go to James Wood, the big, tall outfielder for the Washington Nationals. 274 batting average, a 392 on base, a 613 slugging percentage, a 1,005 OPS, also 5 home runs for the outfielder of the Washington Nationals. Shohei Ohtani, the reigning MVP. .286 batting average with a .425 on base, a .571 slugging percentage, and a .996 OPS. Also 5 home runs, a couple home runs over the weekend. He's starting to really heat up. And then the last position player that we have, Matt Olson of the Atlanta Braves, the first place Atlanta Braves. .290 batting average, a .380 on base, a .613 slugging percentage, a .993 OPS. He also has 3 home runs. He's gotten off to a great start. Let's talk about some starting pitchers that have gotten off to a great start. The first guy, and we're going to talk about this guy in a sec, Jose Soriano, the 27-year-old right-hander of the Angels, who has maybe been the best starting pitcher in the game so far. In 27 innings pitched so far, a .033 ERA, a 32% K rate, and a .102 batting average against. That is second in Major League Baseball. Michael Wacha, the veteran of the former St. Louis Cardinal, been around a couple other teams, Padres. Now, last couple of years has been with the Kansas City Royals. In 21 innings pitched so far this year, a .43 ERA, a 23% K rate, 147 batting average against. Parker Messick, the left-hander, second-year left-hander of the Cleveland Guardians, another team that is in first place that has been playing well. Tied for first place, I should say, with the Minnesota Twins. Credit to the Twins. 17.2 innings pitched this year, a .51 ERA with a 24.2% K rate, 180 batting average against. Parker Messick has been off to a great start. How about Mitch Keller, the now veteran, once young right-hander for the Pirates, now veteran with all the young guys that the Pirates have. 18 innings pitched on 1 ERA with a 15.9% K rate, a 188 batting average against. Randy Vasquez of the San Diego Padres, a nice development for them. They have not had a ton of depth in the rotation. 17.2 innings pitched, a 1.2 ERA, 27.5% K rate, and a 238 batting average against. Taj Bradley of the Minnesota Twins, who have also gotten off to a fairly decent start. Traded over from the Twins last year at the deadline. 21.2 innings pitched, a 1.25 ERA, a 31.2% K rate. That is one of the higher K rates in the league. A 194 batting average against. And then finally, Mackenzie Gore, another guy traded over, formerly of the Washington Nationals, traded over to the Texas Rangers, who have been off to a great start. 16.1 innings pitched, a 2.76 ERA, a 39.7% K rate, and a 158 batting average against. Those are some guys that are off to some underrated but hot starts. Now, let's get to the 2 guys that I'm most excited to talk about. And as you can see, the title of this video, 2 surprise Cy Young candidates. Yes, Jose Soriano, like I said, the 27-year-old right-hander of the Angels, who is maybe putting up the best numbers for a starting pitcher early on in the season. And then Mason Miller, who, if he keeps doing some of the things he's doing, he might be in the Cy Young conversation as a reliever. Yes, saw that a couple years ago with Emmanuel Clase of the Guardians. Could Mason Miller do something similar? Let's start with Jose Soriano and the start that he has gotten off to. Like I said, only 27 years old, and he's gotten off to a great start and made some changes. So he's always been a sinker ball pitcher who throws very hard, one of the hardest sinker ball pitchers in the game, 97 miles an hour on average with a true nasty sinker. What has he done differently? In 2025, he had an ERA of 4.26 with just a 21% K rate. That's below league average. In 2026, early on, an ERA under 1, a .33 ERA, and a 32% K rate. That is 12th in Major League Baseball. The ERA is first. So what has he done differently? Well, for starters, he's increased the usage on his four-seam fastball. So in 2025, he went 49% sinker, 27% curveball, 9% four-seamer, 9% splitter, 6% slider. Early on in 2026, a 30% sinker pitch usage, so almost down 20%. A 27% usage rate on the curveball, which is the same from a year ago. But an increase on the four-seamer, like I said, last year it was 9%. This year it is 23% for the four-seam. And it has been a very useful pitch for him, a 200 batting average against on the four-seamer. The sinker becoming as effective as it has is one of the reasons as well for the jump in production. He has the highest run value on a pitch in Major League Baseball and that is his sinker. The most valuable pitch in the game so far has been Jose Soriano's sinker. Run value is an interesting stat because sometimes you can look at numbers like batting average against and whiff percentage, and you could think, and then you could go to run value, and those pitches aren't necessarily at the top of the leaderboard for run value. Run value is calculated through literally preventing runs. So a big pitch in a certain spot with runners on base, a big strikeout, stuff like that is how run value gets incorporated. Of course, with other stuff as well, like whiff percentages and the numbers and all that, and it makes a number, like I said, run value, and it kind of makes the most valuable pitches in Major League Baseball. And Jose Soriano doesn't just have the best sinker in the game in terms of run value, the best pitch individually. In 2025, his batting average against on that sinker, 290. In 2026, a 0.67 batting average on the sinker. So the sinker production has improved a lot. He had a 16% whiff rate on that pitch a year ago. Right now it's at 27.6, which is actually pretty good for a sinker because most sinkers don't get a ton of swing and miss. Now, another reason why that he's had this improvement and this jump in production, the highest K rate and the lowest walk rate of his career. That's simple. You're striking out more hitters and you're allowing less walks, as well as the second highest run value in curveballs in Major League Baseball. So among all curveballs, his is the second most valuable, 105 batting average against and a 46.8% whiff rate. So his curveball is getting a ton of whiffs, and it has not allowed a lot of hits. Another thing, in 2025, right-handers hit 268 against Soriano. Early on in 2026, a 60 batting average. So he's dominating right-handed hitters at a better, much higher clip than he did a year before. The splitter has the second best batting average against among all splitters, only second to Yoshinobu Yamamoto of the Dodgers. That pitch also has a 43% whiff rate. He also, another thing, second best ground ball percentage in all of Major League Baseball. He is the second best batting average against in Major League Baseball. So Jose Soriano, young right-hander of the Angels who always had great stuff, explosive sinker, good breaking balls. He has put it all together this year where he's improved the walk rate. The walk rate still isn't great, but he's improved the walk rate. He's figured out a way to get more swings and misses, which is not something that you see with a ton of sinker ball pitchers. Not all sinker ball pitchers get a ton of swings and misses. But what he's done is bring up the four-seam usage, which has led to less, when you're a sinker ball pitcher, you're a ground ball pitcher. The four-seam is a different look that gives you an ability to strike out more hitters. The curveball and the splitter have been lethal and have led to a lot of swings and misses. And he's also been able to keep the ground ball, sinker ball effect that he has. And when you're a pitcher and you can combine strikeouts and ground balls, you are going to be one of the best pitchers in the game. A year ago, there was only one pitcher in baseball who was elite at getting ground balls and strikeouts. And his name, the World Series MVP Yoshinobu Yamamoto. When you can get strikeouts and ground balls, it gives you a lot of avenues to get out of innings, get quick outs. Obviously, ground balls will lead to double plays and also quick outs. When you can also get strikeouts, it leaves you another avenue to get out of jams. When you can combine those two things, keeping the ball on the ground, so less slug, less home runs, you're also getting punch outs. You are going to be as effective as it gets. Jose Soriano has done that. And it's a nice story for the Angels, who have not been able to develop much pitching in a long time. And it is nice that right now they feel like they have an ace. They have a very young team. It'd be nice to see if Mike Trout can start to get going. He had a pretty decent start the first couple weeks of the season, but he's then slowed down. Jorge Soler, they got a couple other young guys. Zach Neto has been really great. Nolan Shanuel. They have a very, very good... I shouldn't say very good, but they have some good young position players. If they can get some production out of that lineup, maybe Jose Soriano can carry this team to some, contention, maybe a wild card spot. Definitely the biggest story of last week, what he was able to do, shutting down a Reds lineup in Cincinnati yesterday. That's not easy to do. That's pretty much the most hitter-friendly ballpark outside of Coors Field. So Impressive stuff from Jose Soriano, and he was the thing I wanted to get to most. Now let's go to Mason Miller. Wow, Mason Miller has been pretty much the most dominant pitcher in baseball right now. 7.1 innings pitched, 19 strikeouts, 1 walk allowed, no earned runs, a 0 ERA. How about a 79.2% K rate and a 60.8% whiff rate? There is not a better strikeout, swing and miss pitcher on planet Earth right now. And just to give you a little bit of reasoning and to understand why that is, the next closest in strikeout percentage is 50%. Like I said, he has a 79.2% K rate. The next closest in whiff percentage is 47.2. His is 60.8. So nobody's even close to doing what Mason Miller is doing. He, of course, has the 101.4 mile an hour fastball on average. That is the highest in baseball. So he's the hardest throwing pitcher in the game. He has the highest K rate, the highest whiff rate, and the highest chase percentage. Another reason why the walks have not been there like they have in the past for Miller. He's getting such a high amount of chase that when hitters are chasing the fastball upstairs and the slider downstairs, it's not leading to walks. You know, those pitches that are balls are turning into strikes because hitters are swinging at them. So, I mean, when you're getting strikeouts at that rate and you're not allowing walks, you literally become the hardest pitcher to get a hit off of and the most dominant pitcher, the most dominant force in the game, honestly. A 0 batting average against on his slider with a frightening 73.7% whiff rate. By far the best swing and miss pitch in Major League Baseball. Let me say that again. A 0 batting average against on his slider, 73.7% whiff rate. Once you start to get into the 45, 50, 55 territory with it when it comes to swing and miss rate on a pitch, that means, you know, you got an elite pitch. 73% of the time is what he gets on his slider. Filthy, filthy stuff. His fastball also has a 167 batting average against with a 45.8% whiff rate, the 4th highest swing and miss fastball in the game. If he keeps this up, he has a legitimate shot at winning the Cy Young as a reliever. I forget the last time that has happened. I think it only has happened a couple times in Major League Baseball. Like I said, a couple years ago, Emmanuel Clase of the Guardians got a finalist. He was a finalist as a Cy Young. I don't think that Mason Miller would win it. I wouldn't project that. It's obviously much easier for a starter to win it, but there is not a more dominant pitcher in the game right now. It's absolutely incredible what he is doing. And again, just seeing a 79, basically 80% K rate next to a guy's name is just crazy. 7.1 innings pitched, 19 strikeouts. Just think about that. That is insane. And it's just when you have a guy who throws that hard, obviously the hardest throwing pitcher in the game, with that filthy of a slider, and now you incorporate the fact that he hasn't been walking hitters, literally it's impossible. It's impossible to get a hit off. Jose Soriano, Mason Miller, those guys have been two of the bigger stories to start this season, especially on the mound. They've been really exciting. So let's get to a couple teams that I wanted to talk about. Are you buying or are you selling? I got 3 teams for you. The Pittsburgh Pirates, the Cleveland Guardians, and the Athletics. Let's talk about those 3 teams. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Are the Pirates for real? All right, they are in first place in the NL Central with a record of 9-6. They are 7-3 over their last 10 games. That's very good. What I like about the Pirates so far is that they have a very interesting and very potent offense, which is something that the Pirates have lacked for a long, long time. Okay, they are 7th in team on base percentage and they're 10th in home runs. So they're getting on base and they're slugging so far. O'Neal Cruz has been raking to start 2026, and we might finally be seeing the breakout from him. A 339 batting average, a 400 on base, a 644 slugging percentage, and a 1,044 OPS. Like I said, he has 5 home runs. Brandon Lau has 5 home runs as well, a 592 slugging percentage. Ryan O'Hearn, a 419 on base percentage. How about Nick York, former Red Sox farmhand? 344 batting average with a 464 on base. A lot of guys in this Pirates lineup look very good. And what we're waiting for the Pirates is for Connor Griffin, Marcell Ozuna, and Spencer Horowitz to get going. Now, I know and I'm confident Connor Griffin's going to get going because he's the top prospect in the game, and you guys know that I'm a big fan of him, and I picked him to win Rookie of the Year in the NL. Spencer Horowitz has actually always been a pretty solid big league hitter, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to get going, the first baseman for the Pirates. Marcell Ozuna, who they brought over in free agency to be the DH, he's gotten off to a bad start. A lot of numbers actually suggest that he's been the worst hitter in the game so far. He is a little bit older. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a DFA candidate. We'll see. I believe that he can turn it around. But given his age and given that they could give a lot more DH at-bats to some other guys, he's going to get a chance to hit his way out of it. But he's been off to a slow start. But we're waiting for those guys to get going, and that could take this lineup to an even higher heights. And then what's really made them interesting is what they do on the mound. They're 4th in team ERA, and they have the 8th highest strikeout percentage. 7th best in batting average against. Of course, we all know they have Paul Skeens. Mitch Keller's been off to a great start. How about Braxton Ashcraft? A 2.12 ERA with a 1.67 FIP. Like I said, Mitch Keller, a 0 ERA. So, I'm asking the question, are you buying or are you selling the Pirates? Obviously, leave some comments below. Are you buying? Are you selling? I'll tell you what. For now, I'm buying the Pirates. I didn't pick them to make the postseason. I don't know if I still kind of believe that they won't. But of these 3 teams that I mentioned, I do think that they're the team I believe in the most because I think that they do have some guys in their lineup that are true hitters. O'Hearn, Brandon Lau. I like what O'Neal Cruz is doing. I believe in Connor Griffin. They have guys up and down that lineup and that roster that I do believe in. And especially on the mound. Now, they're very young. The bullpen does not have a lot of big names, but they do have enough of a farm system that if they have to make trades at the deadline, I do like that. So I definitely think this is a team that's going to contend all year. If you were to ask me, do they get in the postseason or not, I probably would pick them to just miss out. But I am buying the Pirates for now. That's what I have. I'm buying the Pirates for now. Let's go to the next team. The Cleveland Guardians, who are currently tied for first place in the AL Central, 9-7. They were on my power rankings last week. Spoiler alert, they are on my power rankings this week. They have the 8th best starting pitching ERA in Major League Baseball. I mentioned Parker Messick earlier. He's got a .51 ERA. How about Joey Cantillo, another left-hander? He has a 2.45 ERA with a 33.3% whiff rate. One of the better changeups in the game. And then how about Gavin Williams, one of the best strikeout pitchers in the game, one of the harder throwing pitchers in the game, 37.3% K rate. That's a legit 1-2-3 at the top of your rotation. And you know the the Guardians are always developing good pitchers, and you're always confident they're going to be able to pitch out of the rotation and the bullpen. The only reason I'm not sure if I'm going to buy in on the Guards yet is they're kind of middle of the pack of most offensive categories. Obviously, we know Chase DeLauder, 680 slugging percentage. He's been great. Angel Martinez, their center fielder, a little bit of a utility man. 310 batting average with a 383 on base. But after that, not many guys have been off to some great starts for them. Jose Ramirez is off to one of the worst starts of his career. No doubt in my mind that he'll turn it around. And once he does turn it around, if some of these guys in the lineup can continue their production, they're definitely going to be in a postseason, in postseason contention. I'm not buying the Guards yet. I need to see a little bit more offensively because, like I said, they're kind of just middle of the pack with a lot of these offensive numbers. But if the starting pitching can continue to be elite like this, and the bullpen is always going to be good in Cleveland, they don't necessarily have to be a juggernaut offensively. We saw that last year. They got into the postseason without having this crazy offense, and they've done that in the past. But I'm not buying the Guards yet. So I'm buying the Pirates. I'm not buying the Guards yet. I'm selling the Guards so far. Let's go to the last team, the Athletics. Another team that has been hot as of late. Tied for first place in the AL West. Only 8-7. There's a lot of kind of mid teams so far in Major League Baseball. I'll get into those later, but we're kind of in a weird spot right now early on in the season where there's really only 2 teams in Major League Baseball who have kind of separated themselves, the Dodgers and the Braves. Other than that, there's a lot of teams that are barely over 500, barely below 500, just a lot of mid going on. So tied for first place in the AL West at 8-7 doesn't say a whole lot, but they're 7-3 in their last 10, and they won 5 straight. Won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, and then they actually swept the Mets in New York. So that's nice. The lineup, their offense is towards the bottom of the league in a lot of offensive categories. But Max Muncy, yes, not Max Muncy of the Dodgers, Max Muncy of the A's, is hitting .305 with a .528 slugging percentage. Jeff McNeil and Nick Kurtz have gotten going as of late. They got off to some slow starts. But they're 15th in batting average, they're 25th in on-base percentage, and they're 18th in slugging percentage. This is a team that we were all confident was going to hit, and the starting pitching was going to be kind of the bugaboo for this team. Jeffrey Springs has gotten off to a great start, but other than that, they just don't have a deep rotation. I like what the A's are doing, but I'm not buying the A's yet. I don't think they have enough starting rotation. I definitely don't think they have enough bullpen. I think the lineup is actually going to come around at some point and be very good, but I just think they don't have enough pitching. The ball is going to fly in that ballpark. They're still a couple years, a year or two away from true contention. I'm not buying the A's yet, but I like the start they've gotten off to. And hey, they can prove me wrong if they can start to pitch the ball. So let's get to a couple of the teams that have really switched up on us quick. So like I said, what I have is in this category is that was fast. A couple of these teams got off to some really good starts and then now have been struggling. The Yankees are the first team, the Mets, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Brewers, the Astros, and then the Padres. They're the only positive team. But other than that, the Astros, the Brewers, the Blue Jays, the Mets, and the Yankees all got off to really great starts and now are struggling. We'll start with the Yankees. Just a week ago, they were second on my power rankings. They were, I believe they were I want to say 9-3, something like that. They've lost 5 in a row, lost 2 out of 3 to the A's, and then swept by the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa in the Trop. Now, what I have with the Yankees, is this lineup concerning? I'm asking the question. Is it a concern? I'm not concerned about the Yankees. I think that they're going to be one of the better teams in the AL and be in the postseason and be in the mix for the AL East. But right now, you got Trent Grisham, who's hitting 133. Jazz Chisholm is hitting 179. Austin Wells is hitting 154. Ryan McMahon is hitting 114. Jose Caballero, the shortstop, is hitting 146. They have the 5th worst team slugging percentage and the 3rd worst batting average. They are 17th in home runs. That is not Yankee-like. They are usually at the top of the leaderboard in home runs, slugging percentage. They are not hitting the ball out of the ballpark right now. The starting pitching has been great, and I believe that they will turn it around. Aaron Judge is probably about to get hot. He has gotten off to a little bit of a cold start. He went deep yesterday, Sunday, in Tampa. He always gets off to, at some point he gets on a heater and just starts putting up crazy numbers. The one kind of scary thing about the Yankees is that are they a little too reliant on Judge, on Stanton, to kind of carry this team? Overall, I do think Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm, I do think those guys will get going. Some of the guys in their lineup, like Austin Wells, Ryan McMahon, Jose Caballero, those guys do scare me a little bit because they haven't done much offensively throughout their careers. But, Ben Rice has been one of the better hitters in the game. Obviously, you never worry about Judge and Stanton for that matter. And Stanton for that. It's just, the only concern with him is health. But, I think offensively they're going to be fine, and they've pitched the ball really well so far. Their bullpen is not very deep, and they're going to have to make some trades at the deadline. But, we got to talk about it. The Yankees lost 5 in a row, and they're taking on the Angels this week who have been playing well. So the lineup has got to come to life. A couple guys in this lineup have got to put together good at-bats. Trent Grisham is supposed to be the leadoff hitter for the Yankees. Jazz Chisholm is supposed to be one of the better second basemen in the game. These guys are really struggling right now, so it can't just be all Aaron Judge and Ben Rice. So I think the Yankees will be fine, but let's go to the other New York team where the sky is falling. Another New York team that has lost 5 in a row. They're 4-6 in their last 10, the New York Mets, and it's not going to get any easier from here because they are taking on the Dodgers this week in L.A. Last place in the NL East at 7-9. They're kind of all over the place right now. They got a little bit of injuries, a little bit of some drama with Francisco Lindor, who's made a couple of mental mistakes. The nice surprises so far, Francisco Alvarez, the catcher, and then Luis Robert Jr., who has an OPS in the 900s. Both of those guys have gotten off to some good starts offensively. But here's a long list of players who are struggling right now and have not put up good numbers. Francisco Lindor, Bo Bichette, Marcus Semien, Jorge Polanco, Carson Bench, and Brett Beatty, all getting off to slow starts. That's the whole lineup. Overall, the pitching has been solid, especially their bullpen. They have the
seventh best ERA in Major League Baseball in the bullpen. Nolan McLean, Freddie Peralta, and Clay Holmes have all been pitching great. When Soto comes back, the offense should improve, and I still think this is a postseason team. But right now, you have to mention that a lot of these guys have gotten off to slow starts offensively. And if Lindor and Bichette don't hit, this team won't be successful. But I do believe that they will hit. They've had a long track record of being good players. And I believe in the Mets, and I think that they're going to turn around. But like I said, 4-6 in their last 10, and they're now 2 games under 500, and they got to take on the Dodgers this week. The Blue Jays, I talked about a little bit of this team last week, but are the Blue Jays too banged up? They started the season 3-0, and they got off to a good start. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games, and I just want to read a list of guys who are on the injured list currently for the Blue Jays. George Springer, Trey Savage, Shane Bieber, Addison Barger, Alejandro Kirk, and then Cody Ponce, who came over from the KBO. Everyone outside of Cody Ponce was a massive piece in them running to the World Series a year ago. Tied for last in the AL East with a 6-9 record that's tied with the Red Sox. Fourth worst team ERA in Major League Baseball. They have third worst in starting pitching ERA. The silver lining for this team is that the offense has actually been solid. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They've had a decent lineup so far. So it's just hard when you have this many guys injured. It is hard to win games. When half of your team, your projected lineup, and your projected rotation is injured like this, it is hard to be a good team. So before we could even think about the Blue Jays getting back into this and being a good team again, we need to see some health. It starts with Alejandro Kirk behind the plate and, a couple of these guys in the rotation like Savage and Shane Bieber. But, they are banged up right now and they are not playing good and they are struggling. We'll see if they can just hold it down until some of these guys come back. But you got to mention what the Blue Jays are doing right now. My question is, are they too banged up to get back in it? It's way too early, I should say, to get back in it because it's literally not even close to May. But they are very banged up right now, and we'll see what happens going forward with the Blue Jays. The Milwaukee Brewers, I'll be quick on them because this isn't that big of a deal, but they have lost 5 in a row, still over 500 at 8-7, but they weirdly got swept by the Washington Nationals at home. They'll be fine. I still think they are maybe the second best team in the NL, but I still think they're the best team in the NL Central. I think they're better than the Cubs, better than the Pirates, the Reds, who have gotten off to a nice start. One of the concerns is that their bullpen ERA, 13th, that's a little low for them. They always have an elite bullpen. I think they'll right the ship there, but it's, hasn't been great. The offense has been fine, though, and I'll get into this later with the power rankings. Bryce Terang, Christian Yelich, who did leave a game early this week, so hopefully he's okay. William Contreras, the offense has been fine. Jacob Mizorowski is their ace, and he's been great. I think that they're going to be fine, but, you got to mention that they got off to a great start, and then they quickly lose 5 in a row, like a couple of these other teams, and now they're 8-7. So, let's get to the Astros. This is just perplexing. The Astros were the team I was most excited to talk about a week ago because of the incredible offense they put up. They were in first place. They had a great record. And here we are a week later. They've lost 7 in a row, 2-8 in their last 10. The starting pitching is just in shambles right now. A ton of injuries, a ton of guys that have left. They are dead last in team ERA. They have the highest walks per 9. A week ago, this looked like a fun team with a great offense, and they still do have a great offense. But a week later, I am not sure what to make of them because of all these injuries and how bad this rotation can be. 6-10 is tied for the worst record in baseball. Like I said, the offense has been amazing. Can they overcome this awful pitching / injuries? We'll see. That'll be the question for the Astros. But they are the definition of, wow, that was fast, because a week ago it was like, hey, are the Astros back? They're looking great. And here we are a week later, and it's like, wow, I don't know what to make of them with all these injuries. So let's go to the last team, the only positive of this group, the San Diego Padres. Shout out to them because they must have heard me. I put them in, is it time to overreact? They've won 5 in a row. They are currently 10-6, second place in the NL West behind the Dodgers. From a worrisome start to a red-hot start. Like I said, they're 10-6 now, and they look really good. A week ago, they hadn't put up many great offensive numbers, a little worrisome. Randy Vasquez, I mentioned him earlier. He's been a nice surprise for them in the rotation, created some stability. Mason Miller, I already talked about him. He's been amazing. The offense is beginning to wake up. Tatis and Machado are heating up. Gavin Sheets, Xander Bogaerts walk-off home runs over the weekend. That was pretty sick. Nick Pivetta and Jeremy Estrada, potential injuries do scare me a little bit. Both of them left the game with some elbow tendonitis, elbow tightness. They got to keep hitting. Guys like Ramon Laureano, Gavin Sheets, like I mentioned, those guys have put up some pretty good numbers offensively. I want to see Tatis and Machado continue to turn it on. Got to see Jackson Merrill be better. I think they're going to be fine. I think the Padres are a very good team. Let's keep it moving, though, and let's get to Chandler Simpson. Let's do a little bit of a breakdown. You guys know I love to do this. Chandler Simpson breakdown, all right? If you don't know Chandler Simpson, if you're not familiar with his game, 25-year-old outfielder for the Tampa Bay Rays. His rookie season was last year. One of the fastest players in the game. I believe technically in terms of sprint speed, Trey Turner is still the fastest, but Simpson is second. Chandler Simpson, 4.11 batting average, a 441 on base, a 482 slugging percentage, which is kind of sick. 932 OPS. He has the highest batting average in the American League. And my question is, can he sustain this? This is a very unique, interesting player. So he has the second lowest K percentage in Major League Baseball, the fifth lowest whiff percentage, the third highest contact percentage. So he does not strike out and he does not swing and miss. He puts the ball in play. He also has the second most stolen bases in Major League Baseball. He already has 7 stolen bases. The second fastest player in the game, like I said, behind Trey Turner. Now, at the plate, what does he do and what has he been doing to make him successful? Well, this is not necessarily part of that, but he has the 4th slowest bat speed, so he does not swing the bat fast. He does not have fast hands or fast bat speed. 6th highest ground ball percentage and the 2nd lowest hard hit percentage. In an era, in an analytic age, if you listen to this podcast, you know I'm all about barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, expected numbers. Chandler Simpson is none of that. He is basically going to hit the ball on average as soft as anyone in Major League Baseball. He's not going to hit the ball hard. He is probably going to go the entire season without hitting a home run. He's going to hit the ball on the ground and not hit it hard. He basically is one of the best contact hitters in the game, but like I said, makes the softest contact. Can putting the ball on the ground this much with his speed make him this incredibly unique player? That's the question, because right now he is not swinging and missing. He is putting the ball in play, putting the ball on the ground a lot, and it's leading to a ton of infield singles. He's obviously just creating chaos on the base path. And, you know, they always say in baseball, speed never slumps, and you can use your speed to your advantage. And it's something that has kind of gotten lost in this day and age for sure, with the slug and the getting on base and really just trying to hit home runs. You don't really see this anymore. So often nowadays when guys like make contact and don't strike out, sometimes, like, I'm an analytical person and I prefer power and I prefer on base. I don't mind guys who strike out a little bit if they can bring power. But sometimes we go a little bit too far where we have certain guys who don't strike out and make contact and they're like kind of made fun of. Like Luis Ariz, who's with the Giants now. You know, like, that is a legit skill to not strike out and to put the ball in play. Now, in Luis Ariz's camp, in his situation, he's not fast. It doesn't really provide much production, and he doesn't really provide much anywhere else defensively. Chandler Simpson is completely different, where he's not striking out and he's putting the ball in play. Now, again, he's not going to provide any power, but what he's going to provide is electric base speed, stolen bases. He's going to get on base and just create a lot of chaos. And what he's also done so far is improve his defense, which made no sense to me last year, is that he was a horrible defensive outfielder, which is just like, how are you going to be that fast and not be good defensively? He's 10th in outs above average among all position players. So he's basically been like the 10th best defensive player in the game. He is second among outfielders in outs above average. He has the best outfield reaction time in the 5th best burst. All right, so these are numbers you can track on Baseball Savant. How good is our outfielders? Who has the best jump, the best reaction time? Why are these guys elite? He has now changed his jump and his reaction time. That is one of the reasons why he's made a jump to being an elite defensive outfielder. He also has the most feet covered, so he's covered the most ground. So now he is truly using his speed to his advantage, and he is covering a ton of ground. He is now getting a better jump on the ball, and it's creating an elite defensive outfielder. Not in center field, because I don't think he has a good arm, so they put him in left field. And either way, in left field, he has been basically the best defensive left fielder, so that's pretty cool. You shouldn't be that fast and be like a bad defensive outfielder. That doesn't make sense. So it seems like he's really worked on a lot of those things, and it's worked in his favor to be a great defensive outfielder. So we'll track this all year and see what this turns into. It would be super fun if Chandler Simpson can be like an above league average player and above league average hitter with this speed. It's going to be hard in this analytical day and age where everything is based around how hard do you hit the ball. Do you hit the ball in the air? He is not going to do either one of those things. He's not going to hit the ball hard. He's not going to hit the ball in the air. But being that fast and not striking out and putting the ball in play, you can work with that and make, you can make that a true weapon. He's hitting at the top of the order for a Rays lineup that did some good things over the weekend, sweeping the Yankees. So we'll see. I think it's really interesting. Some interesting stuff from Chandler Simpson. This is what like Billy Hamilton was supposed to be back in the day, but Billy Hamilton didn't necessarily have like the contact, low strikeout ability that Simpson possesses. So if you're going to be a guy who has incredible speed like this, if you can also put the ball in play this much, it can definitely help. He's basically going to try to slap the ball in between short and third every time, basically hit the ball up the middle and create chaos. And when he gets on base, it's basically an automatic double with his speed. So we'll see if Chandler Simpson can continue this. It's been pretty cool stuff early on. So before we wrap up, let's do Nick's Monday Power Rankings. It's a new week, so we got a new list of Power Rankings. We got a couple new teams. 10th on this week's Power Rankings, we got a new team, the Texas Rangers. 7th in team ERA, a very deep rotation that has even had a nice surprise like Jack Leiter. Obviously, they have Jacob deGrom, who absolutely carved up the Dodgers yesterday in L.A. They have Nathan Eovaldi. They have Mackenzie Gore traded over from the Nationals. Now you bring Jack Leiter into the fold, a super deep rotation that's been great. Brandon Nimmo has been absolutely raking to start his tenure as a Ranger. You know that Corey Seager is going to get hot. Evan Carter might finally be turning into that player we saw in 2023. He's been off to a great start. If they can continue to get some offensive production from those guys, Corey Seager is going to turn it around, of course, because he always hits. If guys like Jock Peterson and Josh Jung can get back to what they did previous years, I think this is going to be a really good team, and they've gotten off to a decent start. They are 10th on this week's Power Rankings. Let's go to 9, the Seattle Mariners. Again, I've told you guys before, these Power Rankings are my Power Rankings. So I don't just look at who has the 10 best records in the game and put them in there. It's a combination of who's playing well now, who's hot, who do I believe in. You got to take – it's context. There is context involved. It's a little bit of projections. I think the Mariners will be a top 10 team in baseball. I know they got off to a slow start. They just won 3 straight against the Astros. So, again, do the Mariners, based on their record and their start, deserve to be in the power rankings? No, but these are my power rankings. So they came off of 3 big wins against the Astros. They have the 3rd best team ERA in Major League Baseball, so that's great. They're reminding everyone that they are a great team that has elite starting pitching. 10th in starting pitching ERA, and then 2nd in bullpen ERA. So they are pitching on both ends. As the bats in the Mariners lineup continue to wake up, like Cal Raleigh, like Julio Rodriguez, they're going to climb up this list, no doubt in my mind. Guys like Randy Arozarena, Brendan Donovan, Luke Raley have gotten off to great starts. When they put it all together, this could be the best team in the American League. They are 9th on my power rankings. Let's go to the Cleveland Guardians. 2nd straight week of the Guard Dogs on my list. 8th in starting pitching team ERA, so they can really pitch. We already talked about that earlier. Parker Messick, Joey Cantillo, Gavin Williams. Those are 3 very good starters to have at the top of your rotation. But like I said, middle of the pack in most offensive categories. I like what I've seen from Chase DeLauter, Angel Martinez. Jose Ramirez will get going. This is a team that's definitely going to be in the mix. They are 8th in my power ranking. 7th on this week's power rankings. That's right. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates. They might have a sneaky elite offense. All right, an O'Neal Cruz looks like he's finally breaking out. Brandon Lau, Ryan O'Hearn have been great additions. We're just waiting on Connor Griffin to get going. But this team can really pitch, and it's been one of their strong suits early on. Paul Skeens, Braxton Ashcraft, Mitch Keller. They're a very young, exciting team. If they can get some guys in that bullpen to step up, I think they'll make some trades later on. This could be a very, very scary team with that rotation. And now with what they've done in the lineup, they deserve to be on here. I don't know if I believe in them long term, but they come in on the list at 7. 6, we go to the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, I know that they have not gotten off to the best start, but I believe in the Phillies. The offense is starting to come around. Justin Crawford and Bryce Harper have been playing really well as of late. The rotation has struggled a tad bit outside of Christopher Sanchez, but I believe in the makeup of a lot of those guys. They got the young prospect Andy Pater. They got Aaron Nola. At some point, Zach Wheeler will be back. Jesus Luzardo has been striking out a ton of guys. Doesn't have the best ERA. I think he'll turn it around. That's why I have them 6, is because of the makeup and because of the names that are in there. I still think they're one of the better teams in the game. The Padres come in my list at 5. They weren't even on the list last week. They jump up to 5. Completely turns it around in 1 week. The offense woke up. They're getting help from a little bit of some prize guys in the rotation. Like I said, Randy Vasquez. The bullpen is incredibly dominant. Fernando Tatis is close to heating up. They need Jackson Merrill to get back to what he was in 2024. He's been about a league average hitter so far, but I believe in him. Ramon Laureano, Ty France, Miguel Andujar have all been contributing. If they can get the big guys, Bogarts, Tatis, Machado, to really heat up, this is going to be a scary team in the National League. In the 4 spot, down a spot, the Milwaukee Brewers. I still think this is one of the better teams in the game. I think this weekend was just a little bit of a blimp. The lineup has still been great. Bryce Terang, William Contreras, Christian Yelich. Jacob Mizorowski is one of the best strikeout pitchers in the game. The bullpen does need to be a little bit better because they tend to be a really dominant bullpen. Haven't been there yet, but I believe they will be. The starting pitching is usually there with the Brewers, and I like what they have offensively. Bryce Terang is really turning into one of the better players in the game. At the 2 spot, up a spot from a week ago, the Atlanta Braves. Definitely the best team in baseball right now on the pitching side. They have the best team ERA in baseball right now, best starting pitching ERA, and the best bullpen ERA. That's how you get the best ERA in the game combined. Chris Sale, Bryce Elder, Ronaldo Lopez. I know that he got into that brawl, but they have all been off to great starts. They've all been dealing, and they're even going to get healthier at some point with a lot of guys that are on the injured list. The offense has been second best in the National League behind the Dodgers. Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Mauricio Dubon, Jake Baldwin are all on fire to start the year. Ronald Acuna is close to breaking out. He hit his first home run over the weekend. This team looks really, really strong. As soon as you start to see some production from guys like Michael Harris, Austin Riley, they immediately get up into that upper echelon with the Dodgers and the Yankees. They're already in the 2 spot, like I said. They have to continue to prove it, but they've been off to a great start early on in 2026. I really like the Braves, and early on I am regretting that I did not pick them to make the postseason. And then the last team in the number 1 spot, it's the Dodgers. They're the best team in baseball right now. They have the best record. They have the most wins. The best offense in the game right now. Shohei Ohtani has gotten hot. Max Muncy has gotten hot. They have other guys, obviously Andy Pajas, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman have all been hitting well. They're going to get some injured guys back in a couple weeks. Blake Snell and Mookie Betts. The bullpen has been really great, which is good for them. Once the rotation improves a little bit, the team gets scary. Once Emmett Sheehan, once obviously Blake Snell returns, once maybe even Roki Sasaki gets it figured out at some point, that team's going to continue to get even more scary. So that's my power rankings. Quickly to wrap it up, Rangers are 10, Mariners 9, Guardians 8, Pirates 7, Phillies 6, Padres 5, Brewers 4, Yankees 3, Braves 2, and Dodgers 1. And then the last thing before I get you guys out of here, what to watch and what to look forward to in this upcoming week. At number 1, we got the Angels and the Yankees in New York. Aaron Judge versus Mike Trout. It's pretty simple. That's pretty exciting. Then we got the Mets taking on the Dodgers in L.A. Tuesday, there are some really good pitching matchups. One includes the Dodgers and the Mets. Nolan McLean versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. That is exciting stuff. Cole Reagans and Framber Valdez, 2 left-handers of the Royals and Tigers. Then we got 2 of the best strikeout pitchers in the game. Kevin Gausman of the Blue Jays, Jacob Mizorowski of the Brewers. They take the ball on Tuesday Noah Schultz, one of the top prospects in the game, left-hander for the White Sox, he gets the call to make his Major League debut against another left-hander, Shane McClanahan of the Tampa Bay Rays. That is also on Tuesday. And then over the weekend, we got Tigers and Red Sox, two of the better, supposed to be better American League teams. Got off to some slow starts. Red Sox and Tigers both played better over the weekend. And those are two teams that you guys know I'm very high on. And then the Braves and the Phillies also square off over the weekend. So a divisional matchup between those two teams. And that will wrap up. And that is all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed a ton of cool stuff that we got to see this week. Especially Jose Soriano and Mason Miller. That was really fun. But like I said, a lot of cool walk-offs, some surprise teams, some teams that have really turned it on after getting on some slow starts like Sacramento and San Diego. A couple other teams, the New York teams, the Brewers. A couple of those teams, are we worried about them? Leave some comments below. Do you think Mason Miller has a real shot at, winning the Cy Young? What do you think about Jose Soriano? What do you think about a couple of these teams? Let me know your thoughts below. As always, you can get this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of the videos dropping. You can follow us on all social media at Baseball Mondays. You can follow myself at Nick Talking Ball on X. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in a week to recap the prior week in Major League Baseball. Thank you guys so much for listening.